look now at the cars coming out of the gates of Buckingham Palace, and these will be the cars containing many members of the royal family, and they are going to be swankily deposited on the Mall, and they are going to get in amongst today's picnic goers, and they're going to have a chat, maybe share a pork pie. Giles, what do you think they'll be chatting about today as they mingle among?
Almost certainly this is a British occasion. They'll be talking about the weather. And the weather is delivering.
Yes, isn't it? Well done, the weather.
And it's worth remembering that the Mall has lots of nautical associations. I mean, it is almost like a river. It's a straight line. It's actually half a nautical mile long. And you go from Queen Victoria's wonderful memorial there, which
we see, look, this is the Yorks are walking. They've refused to get in the car.
They are, there you are.
Through the puddle in the high heels.
Are those girls wearing another of their striking outfits? Never mind neon at 90.
I think they look
What about
terrific.
stripes in their 20s?
Yes.
I think they're wonderful. They're colourful. And they're there.
And so, Katie, as we see, and again, I mean, you know, you're a royal biographer, you know a lot about the royal family. I can't. I was sort of searching back to think if I can think of an occasion where this has happened, where members, so many members of the royal family on one occasion get out and get in among the crowds. It's unprecedented.
I can't recall an occasion that's happened. There's Princess Anne, probably the hardest working member of the royal family. That woman literally never stops. But very wonderful for them to all be brought out. And I think back to the Diamond Jubilee, and I still can't recall this many of the family being out to really support the Queen. And one wonders if it's sending out a deliberate message. You know, is there an underlying tone here that we're going to see the other members of the royal family assisting the Queen more over the coming years?
I think also it's an example of the idea of the royal family giving service. 100 years ago, this didn't go on. The idea of the royals being involved in charity is really a post-Queen Victoria invention. Queen Victoria was an executive monarch. She actually was running the country. When her son became king, Queen Alexandra became very involved in charities, and it's grown from there over the years.
And there we just saw Peter Phillips, who for him, I'm sure, a proud day, but also a pretty nerve-wracking day, and rather nice to see that he was there with his mother in pictures that people were seeing at home. And I'm sure for her, you know, every mum wants their kids to do the best, and for her, she must have been rooting for him this morning.
And there is Princess Anne,
yes.
As Katie says, the busiest of all the younger royals. She and the Duke of Edinburgh used to compete about the number of events they could fit into the year. And they also used to compete about which of them had the leanest office, so they could run this really efficiently. It's a very tight ship that Princess Anne runs, and she delivers more than any other member of the royal family in terms of turning up at different charitable events.
And we're just watching there the Duchess of Cambridge. Yesterday she was in Alexander McQueen by Sarah Burton. It was a sort of cream dress coat she was wearing. Today in a sort of, would you describe that as periwinkle blue? It's certainly a very snappy little dress she's wearing. And there's Harry. I'm only imagining that the crush barriers as Harry goes to shake hands will be under a degree of pressure from some young ambitious women in the crowd.
I can't see any marry me Harry banners out there, but I bet we'll see one by the end of the day. But don't forget, Kirsty, that Prince William and Prince Harry are both co-presidents of this patrons' lunch.
Right.
So you know, they'll have been heavily involved really with their cousin, making sure that despite the weather, this won't be a washout and it'll be a grand occasion. And the Duke of Cambridge is due to give a special speech of thanks this afternoon in honour of his grandmother.
And Giles, you were saying this idea, of course, the monarchy has always, throughout its many hundreds and thousands of years, evolved. That's what it's about. If it is to be relevant, it needs to evolve. And you were saying it's an interesting thought.
It changes and adapts. And after the war, there was just the Queen and the King and the two princesses. Quite a small royal family. And then everything has changed in the generation since then. And it was decided really in the 1960s, 1970s that there were now so many of these young people coming along, we actually had to divide it up. The Duke of Edinburgh, when I was interviewing him, explained to me, we actually sat down and thought, who's going to do what? And we're going to have Prince Charles, who will do the arts and the things that interest him. Princess Anne, she is going to be concentrating on Scotland. Oh, she seems to be interested in prisons, we'll give her that as well. And they divided up the responsibilities around the family, and it's been taken on to the next generation. I'm wearing a tie of the National Playing Fields Association. The Queen became patron of this in 1952. Prince Philip even before that. Now it's actually run by Prince William. So they're handing on these patronages down the generations.
And we see there Katie Nicholl with the Duchess of Cambridge in her Roxanda colour block dress, that she does that thing that, of course, we used to see her husband's mother do, which is she gets down and chats to the children.
She does.
She's good at that. It's a sort of signature of hers.
She'll always zoom in where there's a child, and she joked jokes that she gets into trouble with the family for taking too long on these sorts of occasions because she loves to chat, and she gets into trouble
She's
for
just
always
made
being
that
the last
fellow's
one in the
day. Did you
Walkabout.
see that? You couldn't quite believe it.
She absolutely did. And you know, they are, if you watch them, they are taking time. You know, they're not just, it's not just hello, a quick shake. Look at them. They're having conversations, and for these people who have waited out in the rain for hours and hours, paid a lot of money for tickets to be there, what a treat. It makes it all worth it.
Ainsley, you wanted to say what? You were watching that and just smiling and
I
laughing.
was just smiling and enjoying it, and it's not only here that it's happening, but all over the Commonwealth too. I think we forget that. You know, it's wonderful that I've got some telephone calls this morning and people saying, oh yeah, we're having a party. People are just engaging in it.
Your parents were one of the 200,000 people who were invited across from the Commonwealth to come and make a new life here in
absolutely.
Britain. We have been talking much over the weekend about the Commonwealth because, of course, Queen of the United Kingdom, but head of states in all those Commonwealth countries, 50-odd Commonwealth countries. Is it your experience from your extended family that within the Commonwealth the Queen means something there to them?
Absolutely, so strong, Kirsty, very, very powerful. And of course, I think this is why a lot of immigrants that came into Britain, you know, they were in awe of the royal family because they had such respect. And, you know, a royal household, that's all I can say, every time the Queen was there. And yes, and of course late at night, we know what happened before at the BBC, the national anthem was, we stood up. If we were up late in the holidays, we stood up. It's just something that we did.
Now this is Lady Louise, one of Prince Edward's
What's interesting
children.
about this girl is that she's actually called Lady Louise Mountbatten-Windsor, and she's the first member of this present royal family to have the name Mountbatten as part of her name.
Now, how old would Lady Louise be?
Well, she's quite young.
Yes, because I'm just thinking...
It's to talk about a girl's age. But the point of the story is
I'm sorry to
that there was
interrupt.
controversy at the time of the when the Queen married Prince Philip. He rather assumed that the children would be called his name. You know, traditionally in this country, the father's name isn't taken on by the children. And it wasn't the case. The house remained the House of Windsor. And it wasn't until Prince Edward's daughter arrived that the change was made and Mountbatten-Windsor became the name of this Lady Louise.
It's also her very first royal walkabout. She has not done this before, and I'm just watching her thinking,
I know. Your
parents are going to be so hugely proud of what
you're
doing.
I think she's around about 12. I think 12, 13, Lady Louise, and to see her standing there on her own,
really holding
that takes a bit of gumption, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is interesting about them is Prince Edward is in some ways probably, if you did an opinion poll, the least known and maybe even the least popular of the Queen's children. Though within Buckingham Palace, you could say you should never have favourites, but you could say that Prince Edward is maybe the Queen's favourite. She spends a lot of time with him and his wife Sophie. They get on very well. He is the youngest. And so his children are particularly close to the Queen and Prince Philip as grandchildren. And to see her, you know, doing it so naturally. Of course, Harry is a natural, isn't he?
Yes, it's a different way of doing things with this new, younger batch.
Well, you
of boys,
say that.
the handshaking.
If you see footage of the Prince of Wales in the 1920s, the person who became the unsuccessful Edward VIII, he had the sort of charisma that Prince Harry has. I think Prince Harry's story will be a happier one.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily think that members of the royal family have been without charisma, but I think that handshaking and taking the time, that is a different way of being royal. That's what we're seeing here.
Yes, they mix, they mingle.
They're very hands-on as well. They want to engage with the public, and I think it's very important that they do this, and I also think it's important that they don't do it too often, because we were talking about mystique and the magic of the royal family, weren't we, on Friday, and they have to manage to retain some of that.
That one's a fine line, isn't it? Let's go over to Chris Hollins, who, as we know, is on the Mall. How's it going, Chris?
It's going very well. I don't know whether you can just make out Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Cambridge, and I can see the Duke of Cambridge just there, just the top of his head, but we've just met two people who are very lucky to catch up with both the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. It's Melanie and Stuart, isn't it?
That's right.
I'll come to you first of all. What did Kate say to you?
She asked us about what we do as a charity, and she spent a while chatting to us. It was just so fantastic. She was really interested. She was very interested in the work that we do with children and seafarers' families around the world, sort of rebuilding homes and rebuilding classrooms and providing education. I think she was really interested in that side of what we do. So.
That's right. Obviously, what's lovely to see is that she really is genuinely interested. She doesn't just walk on by and say hello.
She was lovely. She was lovely. Great eye contact. Great great, you know, sort of shook our hands, held your hand almost while you were chatting. She was so lovely and warm and really genuinely interested. Yeah, lots of questions.
You can see you're still buzzing, trembling a little bit.
It was wonderful. What an amazing opportunity. To be here anyway is just so fantastic, but to be here and be able to meet William and Kate, that's just amazing.
And did you manage to speak to Prince William?
Yes, I mean, spoke to both of them, and they're just such a gracious couple, aren't they? And people, you know, people. And, you know, Kate particularly, as Melanie expressed, she's just so interested in what people do, interested in the work with children and young people particularly, and just genuine people.
Yes, it's lovely. Then I see you're very proudly wearing your T-shirts for the Sailors Society. Obviously, the Queen is a patron of Sailors Society. And what does Sailors Society do?
So we provide welfare support to seafarers around the world who typically spend 9 to 12 months away from their families a year. So we support the families while their seafaring parents are away, but we also get very involved in the lives of seafarers on a day-to-day basis, dealing with issues of piracy and abandonment and so on.
Well, it's lovely to speak to you. I can see you're still... Look at that smile. That says everything about today. Enjoy the rest of the day. Lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.
So nice to hear from them, and clearly a trip worth making. And there is Prince Harry, like many other of the royals this afternoon, out and about among the crowds, making their trip not just about a delicious picnic, but about a day that they will surely remember for many, many decades to come. Look at the smiles on those faces. Well, joining me now in the studio, a duo of singing sensations, I should say.
Wow.
That's good, isn't it?
Thanks, yeah.
They've performed for the royals on... We were trying to count and we gave up. On countless occasions, you both have.
Yeah.
It is, of course, Leslie Garrett and Aled Jones. Welcome to today. It's nice to be part of proceedings. There is definitely a festive feeling,
isn't there, Jess?
to this celebration of the Queen's 90th birthday. Aled, I want to ask you to cast your mind back. I hope you don't think this is cruel.
Oh, I know where you're going.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah, thanks.
When I was told about this, it was irresistible to me. Was
that
this
smile on your face.
Was this the first time that you had performed for Her Majesty? Tell us when it was.
It was, yeah. It was a royal gala in Scotland,
right.
In Edinburgh.
Before we go any further, I would like people... You were, how old, 12 years old?
Yeah, so 12 and a half.
OK,
yeah.
let's take a little look at this. Not a bit, love.
Yeah,
not
thanks.
a dry eye in the house. Now, for those of you who were listening closely...
Yeah, there isn't a word that sounds like her, because that's what I said.
You forgot the words.
I forgot the words to memory. Can you believe it?
The irony is writ large.
That's the first thing that Rory Bremner said to me when I walked off stage. I was petrified. I'd listened to the director who said, don't use the copy, it's spoiling my shot. So I went, OK. And I remember Edinburgh Playhouse hearing that ding, 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 and I thought to myself, I haven't got a clue what comes next. The Queen was there with Prince Philip, and I made the words up.
So
I
you
can
did
hear the choirs singing alone. I can hear them singing beautiful songs, and the memory lingers on, and then back to the original words.
And,
it was horrible.
And well, it didn't really seem horrible. It just seemed sort of delightful. But the minute you know that you weren't actually singing the words, it suddenly is extremely hilarious. And did you speak to Her Majesty afterwards?
She was much nicer than you.
Well, she is. I mean, everybody knows that.
No, she was lovely. She was very graceful. She said it sounded lovely.
But it did, because your voice was beautiful. And
Yeah, right. The press the next day said the voice will be broken in like 2 days or something like that, and that lasted another 4 years.
And over the year, you did in fact give, was it a sort of a private performance for the Prince of Wales?
Yeah, the Prince and the Princess of Wales. Prince Charles rang my dad at work and said, I'd love to hear your son sing. So off we went to their living room, and I sang for an hour, then had a glass of water and a chat with them for about an hour, and then I dropped the glass of water on the carpet.
Cool.
Great.
Yes, you've disgraced yourself endlessly.
I have, yeah. It's amazing. I'm amazed that the royal family talk to me.
Yeah. Leslie, let's talk then about, I mean, over the years you have performed many times in front of the royal family. Do you ever have any sort of steer? We were talking on Friday, actually, about, you know, what sort of music does the Queen like? Is she interested in music? Do you ever get any sort of steer of what you should sing and what might be enjoyed?
I think she likes music that's appropriate for an occasion. If, as I have done, I've sung for the Commonwealth Society, for instance, you know, she's very keen, I think, to represent represent different countries. I think she has very Catholic taste, very broad taste. She likes most things. I think she probably draws the line at the immolation scene, you know, from Wagner operas. But you know, she really seems to like most things and responds really, really well. I remember one wonderful occasion when I was up at Harwood House singing for the Golden Wedding, when I sang 3 different things on the same day and was presented to her 3 different times in 3 different outfits. Yeah. And she was. But this is what I love about the Queen, her wit, and she's so quick and so funny. She said to me, "You do have rather a large wardrobe, my dear."
Yes.
I had 3 different dresses. I thought, yeah, well, you know.
That's an interesting theme. So often when I talk to people about time that they've spent with the Queen, is that she misses nothing. She's engaged. It'd be easy to think, well, you know, she does so much of this. There are so many public engagements.
Oh, no. Yeah. No.
She turns up, she behaves politely, and then she leaves. That would seem very much not to be the case.
Not to be the case in our experience.
Definitely. She also asks really pertinent questions
very
as well.
And she's across everything. I mean, not for nothing do they call her the boss, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, the big boss.
The big boss. She knows everything that's going on, and she's in control, and it's marvellous.
There we see the obligatory selfies that Harry is selflessly giving to some of the younger members among the crowds here today on the Mall, celebrating his grandma's 90th.
That's something that the Queen's gone with and championed, actually. Modern technology, the use of websites for the palace and tweeting and so on. She's a, you know, her and her team, because she is in charge of a huge organisation, really, isn't she?
Yep.
You know, seem to be ahead of the game most of the time, which I think is very impressive.
Both of you, of course, are involved with charities that are dear to your heart. So much of today is about, yes, celebrating an important birthday for the nation, but also celebrating so many people who selflessly give their time, totally unappreciated, apart from, of course, on a personal level, to their charities. And it would seem that actually that is as much what the Queen and her symbolism is about as anything today.
Absolutely, yeah. It's all about giving, isn't it? And you can see that on everyone's faces, can't you? I think this is what makes Britain great, if you ask me, even in the damp weather.
Yes, and she's the patron of, is it 600 charities?
600 charities, incredible, isn't it?
I think I've got 20 to serve.
Well, I've only got about 6.
You've got about 6, but I mean, that takes up so much of our time, doesn't it? And yet she manages to find time for 600. It's extraordinary example.
And so we see Prince William there just chatting among the crowds, and again Katie Nicholl was remarking on that, the amount of time that both he and his wife seem to take. They don't sort of just pass by and give people a wave. They actually seem engaged in a conversation.
Yes. I think I must say all the royal family are like that.
Absolutely.
Aren't they? All the other members I've met, Prince
I got told off actually because I spent too long talking to William when I got my MBE. I'd gone past the minute and a half, got to 2.5 minutes, and that was it.
They want to know, you know, why you're there, what you've done to achieve that. I remember the day I got my CBE. It was just the most extraordinary thing to have the Queen say to me that she was so pleased to be able to honour me for all that I had done for music in our country. I'm sure she said something very similar to you. And your breath is taken away by that.
It's interesting when it comes to the honours system. Of course, there's still, you know, much discussion about the honours system and the patronage that happens through the honours system, but it is undoubtedly the case in all the years of all the people that I ever get to interview and have the privilege of talking to, that they always say that when they are honoured, it does feel like a special moment. It feels like a moment when
the most nerve-wracking moment of my life, I think.
Tell me about it.
Much worse than singing in front of thousands of people. My knees were trembling. I don't know about yours. You know, just being in Buckingham Palace, for goodness sake. And then, you know, such a humbling experience, because you think to yourself, you know, why me?
Yes.
Well, I'm still asking myself that question, to be honest with you. But you know, it was just an incredible day.
But it also is very inspiring. I think it inspired me to get much more involved in charities after that. So I thought, you know, I've been given this honour, this wonderful honour, and I need to live up to it now. And I've done a lot more work, I think, we both have since then, as a result of getting the award.
Giles Brandreth was talking about this idea, which seems to have permeated the whole weekend, and indeed Charles Anson, the Queen's former press secretary, when I was speaking to him on Friday. And I suppose if there's a message that's to be got out, and if the palace is trying to get a message out, it is that message of service and engagement. And actually the Archbishop of Canterbury said at the Thanksgiving, we ran a film just before the Thanksgiving service on Friday, and he said, the thing that I believe about the Queen is that she has set the gold standard for service. And that's an interesting thing when you think about, as we're watching them now, this new generation of royals that they have looked to someday, Harry will have looked to his grandmother, Peter Phillips there, And if they want to understand what their role is for, if it is for something important, it is for this service to the country.
Oh, absolutely, and look at the effect they have on the general public. It's incredible. The Queen hasn't really put a foot wrong, has she?
You said it. Let's catch up now with Mel. She is in the thick of the party on the Mall with the royals and the picnickers.
Exciting times down here on the Mall. Now, you have just literally spoken to Prince Harry.
Certainly have.
What's your name, first of all?
My name is Patricia Duke-Cox.
Patricia, how was it? What did he say?
Absolutely wonderful, and we've all invited him to come and play croquet, depending which club that you're on. My next-door neighbour here has said that Hurlingham should be the venue, and when he asked about playing croquet and putting his foot on the ball, we said, well, those were the old rules, and Roger here said, well, that's Alice in Wonderland, in fact.
You put him straight on the croquet rules. Now, I heard in the ether that he was going to go to Blackpool to play croquet. Is that true?
Yes, I invited him and he said we've not to keep changing the rules because he plays very well.
You'll show him a thing or two?
It scared me a bit.
Sorry?
I was a bit scared.
Oh, something's happening, guys. There's a lot of commotion. Somebody's just coming to... Oh, I think it's Prince William. It's Prince William. Did you talk to Prince Harry?
I didn't know, just shook his hand.
Oh, who shook his hand? Will you not wash your hand for a week now?
Probably not.
Or will it be furious anti-backing when you're back home? Who knows? I'm obsessed with your outfit, sir. A lot of effort has gone in here. We've got the red, white, blue suit. Look at the double chain. What was the dress code today?
It just said smart casual.
Smart cash. You've gone a little bit more casual than smart, sir. You look lovely, but you're the smart, you're the casual. Are you having a great time here on the Mall?
Very nice indeed. The food has been excellent. Very, very nice indeed.
Listen, I need to get into the hamper gang. I haven't even tried. Sorry?
Really good quality food.
I heard there was a nice pork pie on offer.
Fantastic, with piccalilli on the top and a dainty little crown.
Was it a good bake?
Yes.
Yeah? Nice hot watercrust?
Yes.
Yeah, watercress, yeah, that's right, enjoyed that.
Not watercress, madam, watercrust.
Of course, yes, absolutely right. Yeah, okay. Lovely.
It's really lovely. I'm so sorry to crash your party, but it's lovely to see you all. Oh, I love you too. And good luck with the Blackpool croquet session. Back to you, Kirsty.
Thank you. Hot water crust pastry, madam. She obviously doesn't watch Bake Off, as I do, obsessively. I knew what you were talking about. So there we are, and there's the Duchess of Cambridge on the Mall, chatting away, taking her time, and it has to be said, probably making a lot of people's day with the time she is taking there. Beautiful scenes on the Mall. It was, let's not put too fine a point on it, slashing it down this morning. And now it isn't. The sun isn't quite out. It is in our lovely studio, but it's a beautiful day. There's a great atmosphere. Thank you for joining us. And with me now, an assortment of, I don't know if I'll use the word celebrities. You seem far too important for that. People who are no strangers to fundraising for charities in all your various ways. We'll talk about that in a moment. From Call the Midwife, the BAFTA award-winning actress Eugenie, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Gold medal-winning athlete Chris Akabusi and actor and presenter and heart winner. Let's call you that.
I love that.
Christopher Biggins, welcome to you all. Chris Akabusi, if I can come to you first of all. We've been talking a lot about charities, and somehow it seems to be at the heart of what today is about. The Queen patron of over 600 charities, and so many people here today being thanked and thanking the Queen. It's a sort of mutual appreciation, if you like.
You're absolutely right, you know, and you know, we can all take our lead from the Queen, who does put so much into good causes, and it's great when you get into a position in society to be able to put something back, and you know, we can learn, you know, from watching the way that she does it, that you know, you can just engage with passion and pride and a can-do attitude.
You went on is this right, a space hopper down the Mall?
Yes, exactly.
What's
right.
that all about then?
Well, Action for Children is a charity that I was supporting at the time, and that we were all up on the Mall. They had a long strip, 400 yards or 400 metres used to be my event. Rather than running and hurdling, this time I was bouncing on one of those bouncy balls. And
but look, you got somebody. My director earlier was looking at that, and he said he's got his game face on there.
I obviously wasn't doing very well, quite. But it's an interesting experience. I've got to say that's for sure.
Christopher Biggins, can I call you Biggins?
Whatever you like.
Do I know you well enough to call you?
Of course you do.
Now, you did a run for charity, which is in itself impressive, but the fact that you were running in high heels is even more impressive.
Even more impressive.
What charity was it for?
It was Cancer Research,
right.
Which, and I agree with Chris. I mean, it is so wonderful that the Queen is so involved with all these charities, which then gets us involved. And it's wonderful to be able to put back into society what, you know, we've been given. I mean, it's just fantastic. And she is amazing. You know, I've met her many, many times at charity events, and she is extraordinary. And what I'm impressed by is the fact that she can talk to anybody about anything. How does she do that?
And how does she do it whilst being, as I so often hear from people saying she was so engaged and she seemed to know so much about it. So she really took interest in what I was saying. It was a proper conversation. Jenny Agutter, let me talk to you about, you received your CBE?
An OBE.
OBE, I bet I haven't got my glasses on. that O has turned... That'll teach me. So you received your OBE.
I don't mind.
I was going to say in 1914, but it was 2012. And that was for services to charity.
Yes.
And that must have been a significant personal moment.
It was wonderful. I mean, but it's very humbling. You know, you go along and then you meet all these other people who have done extraordinary work. But the fact is, you know, the Queen was also amazing. The way, you know, where it was run, the way she spoke to one and everything. I mean, one of the charities that I work with is Action for Children, and to have a figurehead like the Queen is so terribly important. It does bring a lot of attention to it.
You're also involved in charity work for cystic fibrosis. In fact, so much so that I'm a regular viewer of the wonderful Call the Midwife. You introduced, with your interest in that, you introduced or suggested a storyline for Call the Midwife.
I suggested a storyline,
yes,
and Heidi Thomas went with it and created a wonderful story. And it's to be in a position where you can actually do that is great, and it's a good story.
Talking to so many very well-known household names as I'm getting to today, which is lovely, it's interesting that people talk about, you know, there's an awful lot of nonsense that goes with the business of celebrity, but probably one of the most significant and rewarding parts of it is what the three of you do, which is to actually say, well, whatever it means to be a celebrity, let's use it for something that actually does mean something, which is to try to help people who are doing really hard work, raising funds and doing research and so on.
Yes, you get to represent a lot of people. I mean, it's one of the things you feel, you know, if you're given awards, you realise that actually it isn't in a way for you at all, but it's for all those other people who've done the work. And what one is able to do is just bring the attention to those people that are doing the work.
And nowadays, it's so difficult to raise money.
It is.
And I think charities need all the help they can get. So it's marvellous that we can do things like that.
I think what's really important is that we've all had experiences. So for myself, my particular niche area is looked after children. I was in care, and it's really important to be able to say to other young people who are going through that experience that you can achieve great things. So on the one hand, you are putting back, but also you're providing that sort of, like a role model path to say actually it is possible to go on and achieve great things, and so that's why I'm really excited about the opportunity to leverage the success I've had to put back and show the path.
And I'm right in saying, Amit, you were a member of the armed forces from the sort of mid-70s onwards for a few years, and we've heard from some ex-serviceman, in particular Ali, today was saying that actually the Queen's, as head of the armed forces, is somebody that people within the armed forces very genuinely connect with as an individual.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, certainly, definitely. I mean, most of the armed forces will have a patron from the royal family, and you're very well connected to that. And when the Queen or Prince Philip or someone comes to your boat, it's a massive event, and you know for the next first 3 or 4 months leading up to it, everyone's really engaged because you know that your chief of staff or your person that's coming is a phenomenal day.
Biggins, we've got a terrific picture. I just want to show people it because it made me smile earlier. This is what I don't know what you were laughing at when the Queen came to see you in A Midsummer Night's Dream. You were playing puck, I think.
Well,
this is quite a while back.
It is quite a while back.
Yes, but my good, we'll see it in a second once we look at Prince William. He's made. What is he saying? They're having a blinking
They're
good
loving
laugh
him.
there.
They're absolutely lapping him up.
Yeah.
And he's lapping it up as well. Look at him.
I think he's gorgeous. I think he's really brilliant.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that. You think?
I'm not. I just said it.
There we are. Look, people are really chatting, aren't they? What is he possibly saying to him right now? He's telling.
Well, maybe
he's
he
got
from
there
his
today.
grandma that you know how to engage with the public and to show an interest in what their own stories.
I was talking to somebody who is involved at Buckingham Palace in dealing with the press and dealing with crowd management with the royals, and they were saying one of the things that one must realise these days is that when the senior royals and the Queen go out to meet the crowds, what they so often meet are 2,000 camera phones sticking. That must be it's difficult to connect with a camera phone, Jenny Agutter, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
That's quite a job to try to get beyond that. You see a lot of people.
That's right.
The selfie is the worst thing ever now.
There we go.
Yes, people should remember the moment, not just have the image of it on their camera.
I think over the last sort of 10,
struggling
15 years, what we've seen with these two young gentlemen there is that they have been really engaged with people right from the get-go, from their time up in Scotland at school, and you can see here how comfortable they are actually just relaxing interacting with the public. And I think that's filtered down, the shadow from the top, shadow from the leader, shadow from the Queen, that it's filtered down so that all her grandchildren are now very au fait with that.
We're going to go over now to Mel, who is on the route very close to, I think, where the Cambridges are. Mel.
Hello, hello. Yes, they have literally just passed. In fact, they are passing. Very, very excited. I got totally involved and started shouting, Kate, just for no reason. They're just here now, I think. I'm with three lovely girls who've come from Scotland, Lindsay, Chloe and Jade. Girls, what's going on out there? Did you see them?
Oh, it's so exciting.
And where have you come from today?
Glasgow.
Now, you, my friends, have brought some amazing glamour to the proceedings. Are you here for a cocktail party?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very exciting that they were so close, wasn't it? Did anyone speak to them?
I did. I asked Prince Harry what he'd bought the Queen for. For her birthday.
And what did he say?
He said he couldn't tell me, and then he actually said it was something that he put in the ground.
Sorry?
A tree.
A tree, how lovely. And did anybody speak to her, the Duchess of Cambridge? She had a lovely dress on. What did you think of her beautiful dress?
Oh, it was lovely. She looks really pretty. Yeah, it was lovely.
And she was wearing a great nude heel. I think that's the expression. A nude heel was at work, and a neon cummerbund I saw out of the corner of my eye. It's very, very good. So, guys, you've travelled a long way today. Has this met with your expectations?
It's been better.
Has it?
Yeah.
Why has it been so wonderful?
It's great because it's been like, it's once in a lifetime that we're going to get. It's like the one chance.
No, great answer. Once in a lifetime. Back to the studio.
Oh, those lovely Glasgow girls. Everybody dresses like that all the time in Glasgow. I should tell you that.
They're glamorous there.
We're a glamorous bunch. And it's interesting, isn't it, that, you know, we were looking earlier and watching these senior royals chat to people in the crowd. We know that for all of us, I mean, I still can bore people with the day I met the Queen. When you do meet members of the royal family, somehow it sticks with you. It feels like an event.
It's very special, but also, you know, I think it's amazing that we have such a diverse public, and the Queen somehow unites people. They're all excited. You see the people being so excited about it.
It is. It's the thread that sort of runs through the culture.
That's a hell of a lot of giving too. I mean, she's very generous to give in the way she does, and to, you know, even on her real birthday on the 21st, she was working with charities and bringing attention to other things. She was just public again.
Chris Akabusi, it's an interesting week. I mean, earlier in the week, I can't remember, Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was, Her Majesty the Queen with the Duke was up in Cardiff opening the Assembly there. We've had 3 days of a celebration that'll come to an end much later this afternoon, and then there's the Order of the Garter ceremony, which I think is happening tomorrow, and then there's Ascot, which she's never once missed, I think, in all her years of being Queen. It's a schedule that would put a 45-year-old to shame, never mind a 90-year-old.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, 64 years she's been meeting the public, doing a real professional role, and that's what you love, that she's really been engaged for all that time, not put a foot wrong, and it's tremendous. And at 90, when most of us would want to be really chilling out, she's still going.
In just a few minutes' time, then, the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh are going to leave Buckingham Palace to enjoy this afternoon's entertainment. Let's just hear now from Chris Hollins. He's with some of the people who are going to be taking part in the parade.